Let's talk about the CPA retention crisis. It is a huge issue for firms everywhere, and if you're a leader, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Finding good people is one thing, but actually keeping them, that's become the real battle. We're going to break down why this is happening, and more importantly, we'll look at a real structural solution that the best firms are using to build teams that last.
So, if you ask any managing partner what's keeping them up at night, you're probably going to hear one word over and over: hiring. But is hiring really the root of the problem? Is that what's really going on?
And there it is. The real issue isn't just about finding new talent. It's about stopping the bleeding. The deeper, more stressful problem is holding on to the great people you already have. They're leaving, they're getting burned out faster than ever, and let's be honest, the old way of doing things just isn't working anymore. Okay, so let's dig into what makes today's retention crisis so different. Because this isn't just the same old story about a demanding job. Something has fundamentally changed. Look, long hours have always been part of public accounting. That's not new. But what is new is the intensity. Busy seasons don't really end anymore. They just kind of bleed into each other. You've got deadlines from different projects all overlapping all the time. Meanwhile, clients expect answers instantly, and the compliance work itself is getting way more complicated. The pressure just never lets up. It's constant. And all of this leads us right to the heart of the matter: burnout. But what if the way we've been thinking about what causes burnout is, well, wrong? This is such a critical distinction. We all assume that burnout just comes from working too many hours. But the reality is a lot more subtle. It's not about how long you work, it's about how that time is spent. It's about having your smartest, most talented people stuck doing repetitive prep work or cleaning up messy data instead of actually advising clients. That feeling of just spinning your wheels, of not really using your skills, that's what burns people out. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It gets right to the emotional core of the problem. Your team wants to work hard. They want to contribute something meaningful. The frustration, the exhaustion, that comes from feeling like their talent is being wasted, and that no matter how many hours they log, they can never, ever get ahead. So, okay, if the problem is really about inefficiency, what's the knee-jerk reaction? Hire more people, right? Let's just throw more bodies at the problem. But let's take a look at why that strategy so often blows up in your face. This is the vicious cycle, the trap that so many firms fall into. You see people leaving, so you hire more staff, but you haven't fixed the broken processes, so all you do is pass those same inefficiencies down to the new hires. Now the workload for onboarding and training goes up, and your senior staff, the very people you needed to free up, are now more overloaded than ever. You just end up with a bigger, more expensive team facing the exact same pressures. It doesn't solve a thing. So if hiring isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the firms that are actually winning this retention battle aren't just adding more people. They are fundamentally redesigning how the work gets done. This is the smart structural shift. The big idea here is creating structure. It means drawing a clear line between the high-volume, repetitive execution work, all that data entry and prep, and the high-value review and advisory work. These firms actually document their processes to make them repeatable, and then they strategically bring in outside help to handle all that execution. And what does that do? It frees up their internal team to focus on what really matters: high-level, client-facing work that's actually engaging and rewarding. And that phrase, strategic use of external capacity, brings us to a really powerful tool: outsourcing. But we have to frame this the right way. This is not about cutting costs. This is a direct, deliberate strategy to improve retention. Now, a big concern is always, won't outsourcing hurt my firm's culture or my client relationships? And that's a totally fair question. That's exactly where white label services come into play. With this model, all the work is delivered under your firm's brand. Your clients only ever talk to your team. The outsourced pros are working seamlessly in the background, giving you that capacity relief you desperately need without changing a single thing about the client experience. Let's make this really concrete. Think about your tax department, probably one of the biggest burnout zones in any firm. You can outsource all that high-volume return prep and data compilation. Or for accounts payable, you can take all that manual data entry and annoying follow-up work completely off your team's plate. These are the repetitive tasks that create that constant, low-level stress that just grinds people down. And the impact this has on your team? It's immediate, and it is profound. All that repetitive work just plummets. The insane pressure of peak season starts to smooth out. And all of a sudden, schedules become more predictable. You're giving your team breathing room. You're giving them a sense of control. And that is the perfect antidote to burnout. So, when you pull all this together, you realize that solving the retention crisis isn't about some quick fix. It's about building a fundamentally more sustainable way to operate your firm. So, what does this actually look like in practice? The firms that are getting this right are following a clear playbook. First, they pinpoint the exact tasks that are draining their team's energy. Then, and this is critical, they document their processes before they outsource anything. You have to ensure quality. They also don't try to do everything at once. They start small with one function and then they build from there. And most importantly, they frame this as a way to support their team, not replace them. It's about empowering your best people to do their best work. So I'll leave you with this question to really think about. Is your firm's structure designed for growth, or is it designed for burnout? Because here's the bottom line. CPA professionals don't leave because they hate the work. They leave because the structure of the work has become unsustainable. By redesigning your firm's workflow, you're not just making things more efficient, you're investing in your single most valuable asset, your people.